Okay, so I'm going to do the back yoke now. Because it's a yoke, I'm just going to do half of it so it can be placed on the fold. Generally for shirt patterns, I would do a complete yoke, but just we'll do a toile first before we go before we put it into production. So for production, I would do a whole yoke pattern. So what I've done is I've just folded the shirt in half, and I've got found halfway. So I've found the center back neck, and I've folded the back in half, and I've found the half back yoke here. So I'm just going to put a point in there at the half back yoke and the half neck. And they'll be my reference points. And this here, I've just got that out flat. It looks like it's going to be square. I haven't drawn any reference lines just yet, but I'll play with that in a minute. This is quite flat through here, so I just put one in the middle and then one at the top here. One at the neck, because again this is a straight line, so I don't have to put holes along there, and then just a couple of points around the back neck there, and then that line will just join from there to there. So it's all the reference points we need. I've got that quite close to the hem of the shirt there. Just to move that over a bit more. Now this here, here we go. So if I do this line out here at right angles to the back, I'm about 5 mils out. So what I'll do is I'll move that point down 5 mils, and I'll move this point down here 5 mils. So they'll stay the same length. But it means that this will be square, which means that the whole point will be the whole back yoke will be a straight line, rather than it being like a V at the back there. And I measured before the front shoulder line at 20.5, so I can check my shoulder line here. Where are we? Here's the point here. 20.5 exactly, so that's handy there. And the points that I put on for my back neck. So remember to start your back neck at a right angle to the center back. And there's my back yoke piece. Okay, so I'm going to do my back now. So what I've done is I've drawn a line on the paper, and then I've found my halfway. Well, actually that pin was there from when I did my back yoke. I found halfway across the back hem and lined that up with the line at the hem there. And because I can actually see through this fabric, I can see the line there. So I've lined that up with the line at the top there, and then I put the weights on. So now I'm working across, and what I'll do is I'll mark the point where the pleat is, and then I'll go across, and I'll mark the armhole there. And what I'll do then, I think, is I'll work my way down, and I'm going to just have this flat. I'm not going to worry about the pleat just yet, but I'll mark in the side seam there, and then mark in the side seam to the hem. Make sure this is flat. Again, like I said before, if you wanted to at this point, change the shape of the hem. And this, to me, I think, like this very short side seam and very scooped hem, to me seems very dated, but maybe it's back in fashion already, who knows. Actually, what I might do there. I know I put in that point at the underarm. What I might do is just put in a tiny bit of the curve of the underarm there, because what I'm working up to is I need to add in this extra length onto there before I redraw the rest of the armhole. So lift those up and I can just measure. So it's 3 centimeters that I need. So it's 1.5 centimeters. Twice that I need to add in for the width of the pleat there. So from the center back, square across, and then add in the 3 centimeters. That was the shape there. Taking it back to there. It seems a bit weird that I have to get from there out to there. Let's have a look, see what the armhole looks like.
It's quite a big plate.
It's quite a big plate. What I might do is, now that I've got that point there, which is what it should be, I might just take that back to that underarm point there, match that up. See what that looks like. Not too bad. And then from that point there, I need to mark out the 3. So that will be the pleat going from there to there. Okay, now the side seam here. What I would do here is I can draw in the side seam, but after I've actually done my front pattern and added the seam allowance onto the front pattern, I would sit the front pattern onto the back pattern and trace off the front pattern onto the back, just to make sure that the front and back side seams are exactly the same and the same length. So I'd use the front as a guide for the back side seam. And that means at this point here might get a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, and so it's at that point that I then finish off the back length here, and then add the hem allowance to the back. So that's the back pattern, a seam allowance onto the yoke seam there, onto the armhole, and the center back would be a fold. Okay, so before I do the sleeve, I just need to measure my armhole. So that's 20.5 there. So I've already got some measurements from my other pieces. So my back armhole is 20.5. So I've got a front armhole measurement, a yoke armhole measurement, and the back armhole measurement. So these measurements will come together so I can check those against the pattern that I create for my actual sleeve head to make sure that they match. So I'll do that next.